Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Conscious Leadership in Action podcast. I'm Dr. Paul Ward. I'm director at the Global Center for Conscious Leadership and the author of the book, The Inner Journey to Conscious Leadership. And the title of today's podcast is Unleashing Your True Power Through Conscious Leadership with our guest, Runa Bouius. Welcome, Runa.
Thank you, Paul. Nice to be with you.
Oh, great to have you here. So the purpose of this Conscious Leadership in Action podcast is to advance conscious leadership for the greater good of humanity. Now, we have many different definitions of consciousness, but mindfulness features in many of them. So let's begin today with a moment of mindfulness, calling on our universe, our higher power, source, spirit, whatever works for you, to guide us through our conversation today. So just close your eyes if you wish. Let's just take 3 deep, calming breaths to bring ourselves present. And so let me introduce Runa to you today. Runa is the founder and CEO of the True Power Institute, an entrepreneur and global change agent, speaker, author, thought leader, a conscious leadership influencer and facilitator, which is one of the real reasons that I invited Runa to join us. Runa is also an executive coach, a mentor, advisor, and associate producer of The Social Movement. And I know we'll learn a little bit more about that during our conversation. Runa is from Iceland, but currently lives in California. Runa also co-founded the Conscious Leader Network and the Conscious Capitalism chapter in Los Angeles. So Runa, thank you for being in conversation with me today.
Thank you for inviting me, Paul.
Okay, so let's start with hearing a little about your journey to conscious leadership. And I know you started in Iceland, but maybe that's a place to start too.
Well, I started as an accidental entrepreneur, and at a very early age, in my early 20s, and followed my passion and followed, in a way, the desire to serve and to do what was right for my customers. So I ended up founding and running a wholesale company in the perfume and beauty industry, or could say wholeness industry as well. And I did that for about 20 years. And in the process, I had to learn about going from being a one-man show to having to form a team and create a culture, which we talk a lot about in conscious leadership. And I was just very lucky to somehow innately run my business in ways that we very often talk about in conscious leadership and conscious business today, really to honor the stakeholders model, to have to really put a special emphasis on cultivating relationship with my employees, with my people, with my customers in Iceland, with my suppliers that mostly were in France, but still from other countries as well. Mm-hmm. And also to the consumers. And the only aspect that I would say we were not focusing so much on at that time was the environment. Mm. Because it was simply not in the discussion as much as it is today. So that's where I learned, I had to learn on the job in a way to become a leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what took you from Iceland to California?
Well, after so long, or close to 20 years in the same business. And now that I had built the business and I had a team and things were running smoothly, and Iceland is a small market, mind you, meaning that it is only so much excitement I could get from coming up with a new product, with a new perfume or a new cream or a new body product, and be excited about it. And there was something going on the inside, which I didn't quite know what was, but there was some kind of emptiness. I could feel I was doing well, we were successful, we were profitable, my people were happy, my customers were happy, but I was starting to feel there has to be more to life. And also so I decided to sell my businesses. And also part of that decision was the fact that my husband, who was Dutch, was ill and actually did pass away just a few months after I sold the business. So I found myself not being a wife anymore, not being a business owner anymore, but being a mom, and feeling the need to continue to learn and grow and find out what that emptiness on the inside was about. So I got invited to come to visit friends and teachers of mine in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and invited to come with the boys. And we came with the intention to stay for a few weeks and ended up staying for a full summer. And during that summer, the knowing came over that we wanted to move and start a new life in New Mexico, of all places.
So it started as an inner journey. So
it did.
That's a lot for me about conscious leadership, is that it starts from the inside out. Is that your experience?
Absolutely. And I didn't know what this emptiness was in those days, but I think I could say today what I was looking for was a higher purpose. Something that was bigger than me, that I could have as my North Star. That I could work towards, and that would contribute to more than just my little life, but contribute to other people. And I would say where we are today, contribute to the world. So it's really becoming a servant to the collective.
Yeah, that's really important. So what are the aspects of conscious leadership that are important to you?
Wholeness, the search for wholeness, or I shouldn't say search, but I would say waking up to our own wholeness. Because I believe we are all perfect, we are all whole, we have just forgotten. And we have been imprinted by both our parents and families and cultures, wherever we are, with certain aspects. And so there's a lot we have forgotten. So I see it really like a diamond that needs a little polishing to allow our true nature to come up. And today I often refer to that as our true power, that we need to be digging down into our true power. And I would say the first step is to wake up, to become aware of our thoughts, of our feelings, of our behavior, of the impact that we have on other people, the impact that our actions, decisions, and behavior has on other people, whether it's in our family or in our workplace, or on the bigger whole, on the environment, for instance. So I can say that when I look back to the days in Santa Fe when I was, I would say, kind of in apprenticeship, conscious leadership apprenticeship, but I always understood I wanted to go back to business and work with leaders, because I wanted to help other leaders to wake up like I was waking up, and help them to start making decisions in a different way, to make decisions with more responsibility towards the environment and towards their people and their culture. And in those days, this is like 20 years ago, these were not things people were talking about much.
Right.
But now all these things are very much in the discussion, and I wouldn't say fully mainstream, but we are on our way to make them mainstream, thankfully.
Yes, more people are waking up, and that is a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So you headed to California.
I headed to California, So I would say that the Sanafe period was very much about learning and healing myself. Of course, I came from Iceland wounded in terms of loss, grieving my husband, grieving the loss of my country, my family, my friends, my company, my livelihood, my community. So there was a lot of healing and also learning more about who I am and what are my gifts and talents, and what is it that I need to do what do I need to strengthen, and what do I need to own up? What gifts do I have that I need to own up to? In a way, finding my own power. And then came the time my boys were grown up and they were flown out of the nest, that I felt the next urging from the inside that I needed now to go out of the safe nest in Santa Fe and go to the marketplace. And it took me a long time to find where that was, because I don't like to use my mind to decide. I rather wait and look for the omens, as I call it. Paulo Coelho always talks about the omens. So really seeing what wanted to emerge and where I was guided to go. And I started off in Silicon Valley, in Palo Alto. I had a partner at the time, relationship partner, who was in Palo Alto. But I didn't feel that area was really my place. So I ended up coming to LA on my own. So again, I left a relationship to in a way start anew. So that's really what I do. I kind of go. I start over again. It's like they talk about the feminine. It dives down to the depth, and then comes up again, and dives down and comes up. So I've gone a number of rounds of those. But LA seemed to have been the marketplace I needed to come to. And so I've been here since 2011. Okay,
good. Yeah. Good. And you mentioned just now True Power, and that was our title for our podcast today. So tell us a little bit about what you mean by True Power, and of course the True Power Institute, which you founded.
Right. Well, maybe first start with True Power. My training apprenticeship is very shamanic. I trained with a number of teachers, but including a Native American teacher called Oki Forrest. And she used the medicine wheel. And at the center of the medicine wheel is what they call wholeness or balance or core or power. Because once we are whole, once we are in balance, we are in our true power. We are in our true nature. And I believe we all have much more power within us than we understand. So it's really, I'm really wanting to inspire and ignite in people that desire to commit to find their true power, and then offer that power out to the world by yielding it in a positive way. And also part of my training was to become aware of the big shift humanity is going through exactly now. 5,000 years of the so-called patriarchy, where we have been wielding power as power over, where I believe the evolution is pushing us forward. You can see all the development with women rising, with the call for equality, pay equality, gender equality, and all of that, diversity. I believe that's part of the evolution pushing us forward to use power differently. So I believe we are going from power over, or patriarchy, to a model we used to use eons ago, which was a model where men and women are working together in union and in collaboration, and they are wielding power to or power with or to the people. So that's really where I am spending my focus, to try to ignite in people that they have power, and once they have tapped into that, to use it as power to.
Yeah, I like that. That's really, I love the shift that you're seeing too. And
Yes.
the word true is actually a mnemonic for something else. So tell us
Yes.
a little bit.
So true, the word true to me, the T I see as truth. In order to become conscious leaders, we really have to look ourselves in the mirror and tell the truth about our reality as it is. Where do we have blind spots? Where are we not seeing who we truly are? Where are we pretending to be something else than we truly are? Truth, I think, is underrated. We need to really, and we can see that in society today, fake news. We need to go to honor the truth. So that's the T. The R comes for responsibility. Again, when we start the journey to conscious leadership, part of that is to take responsibility for our thoughts, our feelings, our behavior, of taking responsibility for who we are. The U stands for universal principles. So I'm not saying anything that is new. I am literally just going back to the masters, going back to sages and wise people through the ages and pulling up wisdom from them, and maybe putting it in the words that we use today, and remind people of that. And the E stands for embodiment, because we begin to learn concepts and principles about what is being conscious or what is conscious leadership. And that's a good start, but to do the full work, we need to really learn to embody that. So it becomes who we are. So we be that, we be conscious leadership. We don't do it, we be it.
That concept of being and doing, we're all doing.
Yes.
We spend a lot of time doing. We often don't spend enough time being, and getting that balance between being and doing can be very challenging. Tell us about your...
Yeah, I recently wrote an article for a women's magazine about the be, do, have principle, where I think too many of us, and I for my career in Iceland, I realized that I had been pushing and efforting too much. So I was focusing on the doing, producing. And then you can have whatever it is, the outcome of building your business or whatever it is you're doing. And what I had to learn, or I choose to learn in Santa Fe, was to turn this around and understand that the creative principle of the universe actually starts with the being. Mm-hmm. From connecting to our being, we connect to creativity, we connect to something outside of ourselves that can help us. And we go into that flow. So we don't have to effort to create something. It just flows through. We get out of the way and it flows through. Mm-hmm. So the doing becomes much more from that place. It emerges from a place of being. And so through that, then we have whatever it is that we want to have.
That's an important part of conscious leadership, for us to slow down and stop. And just take time. We talked about mindfulness at the beginning, just taking a few breaths, taking what I often refer to as a purposeful pause. And
exactly.
About being before doing. And then the doing becomes, as you said, doing becomes a lot easier. It becomes a lot more effective too.
Yeah, and fun.
Yeah, and fun too, yeah.
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 And I want to talk about, back to you, part of the question that I had not answered was what the True Power Institute is.
Yeah.
I see it as really a project or a think tank for me, together with you and other people, to have a discussion about what is power and what is true power, and why is it important for us to learn about that. What's the nature of power, and how do we obtain power? How do we use power? How do we lose power? A lot of people feel very disempowered. And so really to start a conversation, because power is very much a taboo project, a taboo word. So I want to be a little bit provocative by talking about power and then turning it into true power, which I think is the path towards that conscious leadership we are talking about. And it's also a path to connecting to that something that is bigger than us. Just like you evoked in the beginning, we can call it source or our higher self or whatever it is we want to call it. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But it is something else that is there that we can have access to if we wake up to that fact. So that's part of the true.
Very good. Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to come back. You mentioned the feminine just now.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of time talking about gender, but in fact, the feminine values are everywhere, same as masculine, but the focus on the feminine values. So talk about how your interest in the feminine values has influenced your thinking around leadership.
It's influenced me a lot. And, when we are asked, how do you define conscious leadership? There is no one definition. We could define it in many different ways, but I have been known to define it as the joyous dance between the masculine and feminine, or we could say the masculine and feminine dancing a tango together. That's really how I see conscious leadership, where we are integrating the masculine and the feminine, and we are every person, men and women, young and old, we all have it within us, but we just have spent too much time and be brought up with using more of the masculine. So what we are doing in conscious leadership is say, hey, we have also these other sides of us, like caring and nurturing and compassion and loving and empathy. Why not use some of that? So it's really about being equipped to bring forth the energy or the quality that is needed in a situation. Say if you are the president of the United States and there is a hurricane, that you can step forward with empathy and compassion towards the people who are suffering. We saw a beautiful example of a world leader doing this the feminine way in the Prime Minister of New Zealand. I think it was last year when there was the big shooting there. And there were pictures going through the world of her hugging people, survivors. And so she was not afraid to show her feelings and show her empathy. And that's what I think we need to do.
And for us who are the masculine gender, if you like, I think that's something we can be. We can be more vulnerable. And really, that's sometimes a challenge for us in business and in leadership roles. Yeah. But it's certainly something for us to be more conscious about as to how we show up and show up with that balance of both feminine and masculine values.
Yes, I think that it's probably not easy sometimes today to be a male, to be a man, with all this talk about women and women rising and the feminine, and I'm just imagining that it has to be scary. And I think part for me of talking about power is helping people to understand that we have both of these within us, and the women have to show compassion to the man, that this is not innately something within them. And we also have to look at how have we mothered our sons. All these men have mothers and grandmothers. So, we are all in this together. We have created this together. So how can we together move it forward? So for me, I am as excited of supporting the men as I am excited about helping the women to rise.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah, thank you for that too. You mentioned the Prime Minister of New Zealand, really a great example of a conscious leader.
Yes.
When we think about conscious leaders in business, anyone come to mind? Someone who you would say this is an exemplar of conscious leadership?
Well, when you ask that question, there is one person who is just so prominent today and has been running a big global company that comes to mind, and that's Paul Polman, the former CEO of Unilever.
Yeah.
And for 10 years, he was a CEO, and he changed so much within that corporation, and he showcased how a big international company can take some of these principles and start to make changes. So I'm not saying it was perfect or what he did was perfect, but I'm saying he had the right intentions and he managed to accomplish a lot. And he is a wonderful role model for other leaders in big corporations, small corporations, and everything in between, to start thinking about leading differently. And being a CEO is one thing, but every CEO has a board. And often, even though the CEO is starting to embrace these new ways, he or she has a board that is still working from the old paradigm. So it goes over the board that we need to also support and help and awaken the board members, the board directors, and the investors.
That's right. No, it's a great example. Paul Polman is really a great example. And we need more role models like that so that we can look up to them. So, yeah. Very good. Very good. Now, I don't want to come too close to the end before we talk about your new project, this social movement.
This social movement.
So tell us a little about that.
Yes, this social movement is it's a phenomenon in the entertainment industry, which I never thought I would join, but here I am. I was invited to participate in the filming of season 1 of a new type of docuseries called The Social Movement, which is really about showcasing the best sides of humanity, showcasing global leaders coming together to solve real life problems like poverty, like global literacy, and big issues like that. Bullying is another one. And coming together in teams of 10 to 12 leaders, and be given 4 days to solve that global problem with a financially viable solution, viable plan that they have to then pitch in front of judges that decide whether this is a viable, whether there is any foundation to this. And so I participated in season 1, and we filmed in July of this year. And the season 1 will be aired on Amazon Prime and iTunes in summer of 2020. Okay. And then I took on the role after that to become an associate producer for season 2. So now we are looking literally for conscious leaders who want to give of their genius, give of their time and their genius to come together with other global leaders and solve a problem and be part of showcasing really the human spirit. I would say that's where we are taking it. It's really showcasing the human spirit.
Well, congratulations on this new role. I know you're into the second series, but it's very exciting, I think, that you're taking this on. How do people find out a little bit more about it?
They can go to The Social Movement on Facebook or on LinkedIn. We have a page there, or on Instagram. We don't have a website yet, but if anyone is interested, they can also contact me through Runa at runa.la. And or join some of my social platforms, and we are posting all the time. We are putting out teasers. We are talking about or featuring the different people that were part of season 1. And it's just I have to say, Paul, that what really was exciting to me about this, being thrown into a team of 12 leaders that didn't know each other at all, that my experience was being all of a sudden in a team with people that I respected and I fell in love with.
Mm.
And that was something I did not expect. And we all left our wounded ego at the door. And we only focused on accomplishing the task we were given and holding that vision up, and each person pulling their best feature forward to contribute to the solution.
That's great. Thank you. Well, we're going to look forward to the airing next year. So that's very exciting. Good.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Thank you. So as we come to the end of our time together today, do you have one piece of wisdom for aspiring conscious leaders listening to our podcast?
I think it has to do with commitment. That it's really asking yourself, what do I aspire to be? And then committing to that. And that is a journey. So I have a little bit of a Runa maxim that I would like to share as a closing. So conscious leadership is a practice, and the practice is a process, and the process is a lifelong journey, a journey of no return. Soak up the growth and learning, apply humor, fun, and play, and make your work and your life your practice.
That's great. That's very wise words. And thank you, Runa, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Paul, for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
So I just wanted to share a little bit of the contact information, and it's on the screen for those watching.
Yeah.
Those who are listening on audio only, then as Runa said.
Wow. Yeah, there is. Yeah, thank you.
So email, as Runa said, Runa at runa.la.
Yeah, I haven't made my True Power email yet.
That's okay. And the website is www.truepowerinstitute.com. So that's the opportunity to reach out to Runa, and I hope you will do that. And so for me, conscious leadership is about noticing what's going on. We talked about waking up. It's about setting intention, and it's about acting responsibly. Those are the three themes for me. And reaching higher levels of consciousness can help our confidence, increase our confidence, leading to greater success, both in our personal and in our professional lives. So it's really important. So I hope you'll live and lead more consciously as a result of our conversation today. Aspire to be a more conscious leader. So please be out on the lookout for future podcasts with me in conversation with leaders in the field of conscious leadership. Share the link with friends and colleagues, and please write with questions and comments about conscious leadership. And again, you can see my email on the screen if you're listening only. Then you can email me at paul@drpaulward.net, paul@drpaulward.net. And if you're looking for the website for the book, The Inner Journey to Conscious Leadership, it is www.theconsciousleadershipbook.com. So please reach out. Look forward to hearing from you, and look forward to seeing you on the next call. See you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye for now.